So today we're going to be putting some new shockers in the back of the Vitara. Now, if I did my measurements right, these should be about 6-inch travel shocks for the back of it. And these are actually, I have opened these. These are actually just Holden Commodore shockers. So these are about 120 bucks. I'll put the link in the description if anybody else wants to pick up a set. But yeah, from what I worked out, these are about 150 longer. 150 mil longer than the 4-arch shockers I got in the back of the Suzuki now. So and also I got these. I've had these for a while. I don't know, they're meant to take the load off the bottom of the shock. Obviously when that's bolted on the bottom, it can still pivot the other way rather than hammering at this bush, but I don't think you'd break these shockers because they're a lot thicker than the 4-arch ones. But the only problem with these is this isn't actually a rubber bush. This is just a steel tube that a bolt goes through, and obviously being in the shocker position, it's going to get hammered, so it'll wear out that pretty quick. So I'm not sure if I want to put these in. Like, obviously I'd fill it full of grease and just see how we go, because the factory bolt isn't obviously a snug fit in there, which doesn't help either. But we might put them in and just see how they go. I'll see how I feel. And obviously, because these are Commodore shockers, this end bush, we've got to drill out slightly so it suits the bolt that goes in the bottom of the diff bracket on the Vitara. So the rest just slips in. Like, this is a 10mm stud, that all fits in. I probably won't be able to use the bushes that come with this because they're a sleeve, and I don't think there's enough room. I could drill out the mount in the Vitara, but then I could never go back to a factory Vitara shock because obviously it'll have, that looks like a 13mm diameter hole I'd have to drill. And I don't really want to do that because if something ever happens and I got to lower it, I can put the factory shockers back in without a problem. So I'll probably use the Commodore shocker with the 4-arch factory top rubbers, just so it I don't have to drill anything out or anything. And by drilling out this bottom bush doesn't affect anything, because obviously if the shockers wear out or something, I can put factory ones back in, and I haven't modified the car, so that stays sort of all factory, which is what I want. Now, before we chuck these in, I'll pull one of the old ones out and we'll see how much longer these ones are, and we'll compare the stiffness difference, because I could have got heavy duty ones of these, but because I got no weight in the back, like, I'm thinking about putting a rear bar on, but that won't be heavy at all. So I just got the stock rate softest shocker I could get. Like, I don't care if I put a trailer on and it sags, because I barely tow with that thing. It'll just be me jet ski or the odd trailer here and there, but I want it so it's comfy when it's got no weight in it. And obviously if I got weight in it, it sags. That doesn't really bother me. So all right, let's pull an old shocker out. Right, so we got the 4-arch shocker out, and this is a 3-inch shocker. I've actually never had these out since putting them in, so they actually have got a bit of play in them as well. Okay, all right, and we'll see the difference between them. So there's a fair difference between them. Like, I'd say it's near on 100mm difference, and they are a thicker actual shocker, being Commodore though, because they're a lot heavier car. Like, I think a Commodore's 1800 kilos, and that's probably just over a ton. So, but we'll see if they feel any different when I push them on the ground. The closed distance is the exact same. That's all right. Even though I don't go all the way closed when it's in the car, but still. The Commodore ones are a lot softer, which is what I want. So I'm pretty happy with that. That was utterly me guessing and measuring, and then going off the measurements that were on eBay. So I think I've done pretty well. Like eBay, I think eBay said these were 600 and something mil length, but I don't know where they get their length from. Is it center of? I would have thought it was center of bolt to the top flange here, but anyway, I was just purely a guess, and because they're only 120 bucks, I think they were roundabouts. I just thought I'd take that gamble, because other off-road places, they want like nearly 300 bucks for these, and I thought that's just a bit ridiculous. So we'll have to drill out that hole, because obviously these go on there, and we should be back in business. Being that much longer, I guarantee I'll have to get my handbrake cable redone, and I'm not actually quite sure on the diff breather, because yeah, I'll probably have to redo that as well, because it's, oh no, there's a bit of length in that. Oh, and my airline for the air locker, that's got heaps on it. I made sure I put heaps on that when I did it. So let's, when Dad comes, we'll lift the whole back of the car up with the forklift and make sure nothing's gonna bind or stretch. I reckon those handbrake cables are gonna be too short, but they reckon you can put long wheelbase handbrake cables in, and it fixes the issue, but I think I'll just get new ones made. So I don't want them too long, so when it's fully compressed, the handbrake cable isn't 2 meters long and gets tangled everywhere. So we probably want a 12mm drill bit. So we might start off on that one first, I think. See how we go. And obviously we don't want to get that bush too hot, so I'm going to quickly dunk that in water. Okay, so I drilled that through. I did that by the tap outside. Well, to be honest, it was actually Nan's pond, so we won't tell her that. And that is super tight in there, which is not good. So we might have to step it up a touch. Jesus, not much. Alright, so I didn't get it on camera, but I got the bush too hot and ruined that. So what we'll probably do is press out this bush. We'll push it out now that it's buggered, and we'll press in the 4/8 one if we can. So we've pressed out the bushing, now hopefully that... Oh wait, it looks like they just hit in. Alright, and there's our 4-arc bushes. Hoping that this diameter in here is the same as the other one, so let's find out. Alright, so, which they don't. Alright, so I come up with a solution. Because those 4-arc bushes don't fit in the bottom of these shockers, what I've done is I've put them in the lathe here, and because obviously you can't machine it down with a tip, I've just used a file and I've got it down just that little bit. Like, it's not really ideal, but she's working, and it's gonna work. I just use the actual bush, like that center bush tube, just to hold it in the lathe. So I'll video me doing the next one just so you can see, but it's a bit tedious because I got to go a little bit and then check if, because I want to obviously firm in the bottom of the shocker. So we'll keep going. I'll finish this one, so I'll put this on just to double check it fits on, and then I'll show you guys doing the next one. So what I've got is, that's the center of the bush where the bolt goes through. I've got the bush here, and because it's so snug, actually the other one was a bit snugger than that. Like, see, it turns the chuck of the lathe if you... So we're pretty right there. Now, we've got an edge there where the... I'll show you on the other one. Where the edge of the bush sticks out, like that's the one I've already done. Where the edge of the bush sticks out. So I know where I go to. I've got sort of a guide I can work to. So, we'll just turn it on. Once you get past the layer, the start layer, it works all right. I need my hands the other way. And that's all I do till it's done. And that's us. See, it does not want to come off. That should just press in there like that. Snug fit. I will put a bit of grease on this before I whack it in, but I'll do that now actually. So just a bit of grease on it, just like that. Perfect, all done. I'm pretty happy with how that came out, and that bush, I don't know, it's that tight, it's not going to move and flop around. And now our bolt can just slip straight in. Look at that. I'm happy with that. Oh, giving us a washer. Like, that's very stiff to turn, which will loosen up, but it's actually probably a good thing it's tight like that, because it won't rattle around. So that's going to be quite, that adds a bloody inch longer, so that's going to be even longer again. The problem I'm going to run into when putting such long shockers in is because the control arms in this thing are so short, it's going to really rear steer as it flexes. It already does it bad enough now, so that's going to be quite annoying, but at least it'll flex a little bit better instead of lifting wheels all the time in the back. So, all right, that's ready to be put in. So we've got our grease. Alright. Okay, so that bolted up all okay. That's what it looks like. These are compressed a fair bit. Like, if it's in a Commodore, that shocker would be half open and half shut, if you know what I mean, like right in the middle, and that would be where ride height would be. And obviously when the more weight you put in the back of a Commodore, the further this shocker compresses, the stiffer it would get. So that might be an issue, like, because it's sitting, the shocker's sitting compressed, it might actually be quite a stiff ride. So it'll be interesting to see what it's like when we go for a drive. So I got the top all bolted up. I ended up using all the new shocker hardware with it, if you guys can see in there. It actually pushed up through that hole, no problem at all. I think this one's rusted on. So I managed to get the shocker off, but the problem is that bush is seized onto that bolt. You can see I've mushed up the bracket a bit trying to get it off, but I don't know, I'm gonna have to try and get that bush out of that bolt, so I'll probably cut it off and then bash that out, hopefully. I'm happy with that. We'll manage to save it. Cool. Now we can machine up those bushes. There we go. Second shock is all done. It's actually got to go the other way. So before we put this shocker in, I thought I'd explain that earlier I said I wasn't going to use the new shocker hardware because I didn't want to have to drill that out. But that actually fits in the top shocker mount, where on the factory forearm mount, this is the same as the Vitara factory shockers. See how it's got this metal bush here, where it's metal on metal. When it sits in like that, metal shaft actually rubs on the shocker mount of the car, where on this one it's actually got rubber in the center, and then this bush sleeves over, so you've never ever got metal on metal rubbing, because it's actually elongated one side of that shocker mount. Not bad, but just that's a pretty poor design, really. So it has got these little steps in it, but you'd have to locate them, and if you to get that right while it's in there, it's going to be hard to see. Where this one, you know, when you put that on the bottom and push it up, you've always got nice thick rubber protecting the mount. So I'll just have to straighten out that bracket, which is it should be somewhere there. The rest will pull up when we put the bolt in. go straight under the tow bar.
Yeah.
Like blowing it, or
Yeah,
you?
you like. Pull the pump goes quiet. There you go.
Hang on. That's it there.
Huh?
That's hanging there. I'll just see me handbrake cables, which are tight. Yeah.
Put the bracket down lower.
It doesn't have brackets. Airline's still got heaps. What about tail shaft? How's that for a tail shaft angle? Jesus. Oh, everything's good except the breather. Oh, that one's still got room on it. That one's still alright. Hang on. Why is that one so tight? Alright, chuck it down.
You alright?
Yeah. What's that? That's it. So this is the old diff breather. That was one of the things that was too short, and I did have another one, just an offcut of 10mm vacuum hose. So we'll quickly whack that on now. I already took this off, I just didn't video it. So let's chuck this one back on. So I got the old vac hose here. I'm just going to make it a touch longer than this one. About that much. There we go. There you go, she's all on there and cable tied. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Like I said before, I got a wrecked Vitara down the farm, so I'm going to get the handbrake cables out of it, because this side is tight. I don't know if they're different lengths in the shorties, but I'm going to pull them both out and put the long wheelbase ones in. But besides that, it's all done. Oh, and I'm going to just make some spring retainers for them. So, because the spring comes out of the perch, I'm going to just put a plate on the bottom here, and so it puts pressure on the spring. That way when it at full droop, the spring can just sort of hang there and go back up. So, but that is 6-inch travel from stock shockers. So I'll like I said earlier, I'll put the link in the description for those if anyone else wants them. So in the next one, we'll just fix up the handbrake cable and a few little odds and ends, and then we'll take it out full driving and see what difference it makes. So